The location is North America in 1855. That summer was extremely dry, and locust plagues often accompany severe droughts. As expected with the massive reproduction and emergence of locusts, a terrifying black cloud appeared over the Rocky Mountains, sweeping across the United States and even into Mexico. The Rocky Mountain locust is one of the few species found in such cold regions of North America. Like other locusts, they prefer crops over weeds. Their arrival not only devastated green plants but also caused irreparable damage to crops, leaving farmers desperate. Fortunately, this species seems unsuited for some grassland habitats, so Rocky Mountain locust plagues usually lasted no more than 2 years. However, in 1864, the locusts returned and intensified each year, until 1872 to 1877, when the largest plague in American and possibly human history occurred, lasting 5 years. How massive was this swarm? In 1875, an amateur meteorologist observed a 1.6-kilometer high cloud of locusts passing overhead for 5 consecutive days, blocking sunlight for hours at a time. Combining observations from neighboring villages via telegraph, he estimated the swarm to be 180 kilometers wide and 2,900 kilometers long, covering an area of 510,000 square kilometers, about 1,000th of Earth's surface. The number of locusts was over 12.5 trillion, weighing 27.5 million tons. This swarm was named Albert Swarm and was believed to be the largest animal gathering in history, given that locusts are thought to eat their body weight daily. This swarm had unimaginable destructive power. They ate everything in sight: crops, fences, leather, even sheep's wool, and in extreme cases, people's clothes. Residents resorted to burning, poisoning, smoke from coal oil, and biological control methods but found little success. Why were these locusts so powerful? It starts with a strange characteristic called phase polyphonism. Some species of grasshoppers can change dramatically when they gather together. These once docile insects become aggressive, darker in color, and more robust. The key factor triggering this transformation is the density of the group. When there are 25 to 62 locusts per square meter, their behavior changes drastically due to increased serotonin levels from rubbing legs frequently. Environmental factors like drought force them into limited food areas, increasing group density and leading to a chain reaction that forms massive swarms. So if you had a single grasshopper now, can constant human friction on their hind legs directly transform them into a darkened state, changing their appearance? If you have an answer, please leave it in the comments section below. I'll pin the comment with the most strategies at the top. It is worth noting that besides this darkening mechanism, locusts in swarms also secrete a substance called serotonin, which further synthesizes toxic substances within them, making them hard for predators to consume even if they are discovered. This is why large groups of locusts aren't easily targeted by their enemies. However, despite these aggressive locusts being quite terrifying, the life cycle of locusts is generally very short, usually around 3 months. Therefore, historical locust plagues lasting several years can be attributed to their incredible reproductive capabilities. For instance, Rocky Mountain locusts devour all crops in autumn and then dig holes 2 to 10 centimeters deep to lay dozens of eggs. Under suitable soil conditions, these eggs rapidly multiply in the spring, returning to the surface by the tens of thousands. Moreover, locusts that have undergone a group transformation produce offspring that are already aggressive with enhanced abilities. These reasons explain how mild grasshoppers can transform into the persistent plague that has troubled humans for so long. However, here is an astonishing piece of news. The Rocky Mountain locusts that ravaged North America in the last century and consumed countless crops vanished completely after decades of infestation. They are believed to be the only pest species to have been completely eradicated in agricultural history. This baffled scholars who speculated on reasons for their extinction, including the use of wild turkeys as a biological control method during the plague. Many people don't know that China has suffered more invasions and disasters than any other country throughout its history. According to ancient records, locust plagues occurred every 8.8 years in Qing, Han times every 3.5 years in Song dynasty, every 1.6 years in Yuan dynasty, and every 2.8 years in Ming, Qing dynasties. This shows that locust plagues were a persistent issue for many dynasties, often leading to famine and death. China developed various methods to combat locusts early on, including using ducks as biological control agents. The ability of ducks to eat insects was known since the Tang dynasty, but wasn't applied specifically against locusts until the Ming dynasty. Observing that birds were eating locusts during a plague inspired people to use domesticated ducks with great success. These ducks proved more efficient and could be sold for good prices after fattening up on locusts. This method was recorded in Qing dynasty texts and gained popularity. In 2000, when Xinjiang faced a severe locust outbreak, the government deployed 3,000 ducks from Zhejiang to combat it. The ducks' high-altitude adaptability, drought resistance, and foraging skills outperformed chickens, with one duck eating about 200 locusts daily compared to a chicken. S70, this success led to widespread confidence in using ducks against locusts. When the 2020 African locust plague affected Pakistan, 10,000 ducks from Zhejiang were sent there to help control it. This news went viral and was widely reported by media around the world, elevating these super ducks to a new status. However, experts later pointed out that ducks are not suitable for use in Pakistan's environment. There are many reasons for this. For example, the desert areas in Pakistan have extremely high temperatures which might not be suitable for ducks to adapt to. Additionally, there is the issue of locusts in Pakistan being primarily desert locusts, which are larger and more migratory than their counterparts like the East Asian migratory locust or Italian locust found elsewhere. This means that ducks may not achieve the same success as they did in China. The most critical factor often overlooked is that duck control of locusts mainly targets the immature stages, nymphs, which can fly and only hop around. At this stage, deploying a large number of ducks could effectively prevent these nymphs from forming swarms. This is the correct way to use ducks in controlling locust populations. Many people have never seen real footage of ducks hunting locusts because they imagine scenes where ducks are sent into clouds of flying adult locusts. Such scenarios are unlikely due to the difficulty and danger involved for non-flying ducks, not to mention the toxins secreted by swarming locusts that reduce their predators' effectiveness. Actual duck control involves more mundane scenes, similar to ducks feeding on nymphs in fields. Therefore, if ducks were sent to Pakistan where locusts have already formed large swarms, it is unlikely they would achieve significant success. This is why China didn't send a large number of ducks to help Pakistan despite media hype suggesting otherwise. Many people still believe that ducks can control locusts effectively due to incomplete information. In reality, using ducks for locust control has limitations. For instance, if ducks are sent into fields, farmers must ensure crops aren't damaged in the process. Also, a large number of ducks is required to keep up with the rapid reproduction rate of locusts. Otherwise, the ducks could starve or overeat. While duck-based biological control offers advantages like being environmentally friendly compared to chemical pesticides, it is not widely adopted due to high costs and space requirements for raising enough ducks. So how do we deal with large-scale locust outbreaks? Currently, only chemical pesticides or microbial insecticides can effectively manage such situations. Microbial insecticides are a recent biological control method that uses natural enemies of locusts like parasitic fungi. To truly eradicate locust plagues, one could look at the North American example, where extensive agricultural development in key breeding grounds led to the extinction of the Rocky Mountain locust by destroying their habitat and egg-laying sites. This event highlights the importance of addressing locust breeding areas rather than fighting adult swarms directly. Preventive measures like transforming breeding habitats into farmland or pastures can be effective early-stage controls. In conclusion, there is no single best method for dealing with locust plagues. It requires a combination of strategies, each with its own pros and cons. While duck-based control is one approach, we shouldn't overstate or underestimate its effectiveness. a multifaceted strategy remains the most effective way to combat locusts. What do you think about this?